Okay, so I've never done this before. This is my first unboxing video. This is TRON, Fights for the Users. I picked this figure up at Walgreens. TRON is one of my all-time favorite films. I've had this figure on my radar for a long time. And it's been on blister cards through Diamond Select Toys in comic book shops for a long time, but it retails for about $26.95. And I grew up in the 80s where G.I. Joe 3 3/4 inch action figures were like $2.99, $3.99. So, once it got to the $20 mark, I kind of stopped collecting action figures. Well, yesterday I was at Walgreens and I saw this figure there and it was $16.99. So I get this receipt, Diamond Select action figure, $16.99. And I thought, you know what? Less than $20, I can do that. I've wanted this figure for a long time. So, yeah, I picked it up. And I'm going to unbox it, and we're going to take a look. So, it comes in this nice package. Oh, sorry, that was my little stand that I had the figure on, so it can frame. So, it comes in a nice box. Nice card. It's got when a brilliant video game maker named Flynn hacks the mainframe of his ex-employer, he is beamed inside an astonishing digital world and becomes part of the very game he is designing. He must team up with the heroic program TRON and evade the forces of the Master Control program to find his way home and shut down the power-hungry MCP once and for all. This action figure of TRON is based on his appearance in the movie TRON and features 16 points of articulation, designed by Eamon O'Donoghue, sculpted by Gentle Giant Studios. So, and it's got the great iconic poster picture of Tron and Yori standing on the disc and the disc floating upwards. So I'm going to unbox this. I'll be honest with you, I already unboxed it once, so I'm going to re-unbox it for the video. Normally it's got these little tape things on it, but this one I already took off because I already took it out of the box. So I'm unboxing this. It comes in this standard plastic clamshell design. And what I'll do is I'll put him here for a second. And I'll put this box back here. Alright, so you can kind of see that. I had a riser, which was a comic book lid in the back. I'm going to grab another one real quick and put this here so it stands up so you can kind of see it. Okay, that looks much better. So, these clamshells also have this little plastic tape on the side. I'm going to take the tape off and I'm going to open the figure. Oh, Tron fell. Tron died for the users after he fell out of a blister card. Okay, hang on one second. I'll put that up there. Stand up, Tron. There you go. Okay. So, also, I didn't notice the first time I opened it. It comes with a nice display stand. So, we're going to put him on the display stand. He's got holes in his feet. So, we'll put him on the display stand. Yeah, it kind of fits. Kind of goes on the peg pretty well. I can shake it. It doesn't really fall off the peg. So, it is designed relatively well. And he has his... Lastly, the last accessory he comes with is his iconic disc. So, and he's got a hole on the back of his back, kind of like the old G.I. Joe figures where you could plug in a backpack to put the disc. The only problem with that is it's poorly designed. The peg is not deep enough. You can kind of see it barely because his back is sculpted properly. The peg really doesn't fit all the way down. It barely fits. So it barely stays on his back, which is, in my opinion, a significant design flaw. The other design flaw with this figure, he's got great articulation, with one exception, and I'll get to that in a minute. I mean, he's very posable. You can pose him in all kinds of poses, whatever you like. Two design flaws. One, his hand doesn't hold the disc at all. You try to put it in his hand, it just falls right out. So, basic open hands. It could have been nicer if they had had some articulation, or if they had made it where there was a peg or something, or gave him some rubber bands where he could rubber band it. You know, great articulation in the figure, poor design. The other thing is you can't even put him in his iconic... Sorry, I'm struggling with the figure and the camera at the same time. You can't even put him in his iconic pose. You can put him almost in the pose that's on the box where he's floating up, but his head barely moves. It doesn't move up and down at all. It's got this design. It was designed like it would have wibble wobble articulation, but it's got no up down articulation at all, barely. So you can put him in the pose where he's standing, with the disc. You can't, obviously the disc doesn't float, but he doesn't look up. So the pose that's on the box, you can't recreate with the figure. And you've got all the articulation except the head. So if they'd designed the neck post or the head post a little bit better, given it more of a swivel ball at the sculpting point instead of this just turns side to side, barely wibble wobbles and doesn't move back and forth, you could pose him like that and it would be so cool. The other thing I'm not exactly sure about, I'm going to turn the light off. No glow in the dark. Wouldn't it have been awesome if he would have been painted in a glow in the dark scheme? So when you turned off the lights, he glue in blue. I mean, as a customizer, I would be tempted to get some glow in the dark paint and repaint this, but this is such intricate detail. I mean, obviously it's computer scanned and designed and printed. I wouldn't even want to attempt repainting him so he glows in the dark. But that could have been a very nice application that they could have done with this figure, which I would have been really happy with. Still, I'm a huge fan of the film. I'm glad to finally be able to add a 7-inch figure, because I think this is like 6-7 inch. The 6-inch figures have been growing in size. This is almost a 7-inch figure. Very happy to add him to my collection, my 80s collection, because Tron was one of my all-time favorite films. And there's 2 companion figures. There is a Sark figure, which I haven't seen him in this format in the box yet. I want to definitely get that figure when he comes to Walgreens, if he comes to Walgreens at $16.99, because I don't want to pay $25 or $26.99 in the comic book shops. And Diamond Select, I saw they are doing a Flynn figure. So I would definitely get those, because this is one of the seminal movies of my childhood of the 80s. Tron, Fights for the Users. Overall, like on a scale of 1 to 10, I would give this action figure an 8. It's very close. It looks like Bruce Boxleitner. The paint scheme, the sculpt is great. It's just 3 things: the neck articulation, the fact that the disc barely stays in his back and he can't hold it in his hand, and the fact that they didn't do a glow in the dark paint scheme. Those things bring it down to like an 8. Okay, so that is my very first action figure review of all time in less than 10 minutes. And thanks for watching, and who knows, maybe I'll do another one in the future. Take care. Bye-bye. End of line.